If you find that you're telling yourself that you're going to do more making, that you want to make more things, but you don't actually get around to doing it, that means there's a disconnect somewhere up inside your head. Somewhere your mind and your heart are not completely connected on this goal. And so the number one thing is you need to figure out what exactly it is you like about making. It's not enough to like something. You need to know why you like that thing, because that helps you to narrow in on doing the part of the thing that you like. I hope that makes sense. With me specifically, I found that it's not just the making the thing that I really enjoy. It's more the mansplaining and teaching other people how to do the thing that I did that I really enjoy. It started with me just explaining every one of my projects to my wife, and then she said, why don't you post about these on the internet so that other people can see them? That's the thing that I like. And so by understanding that, it's helped me to focus in more, to do more of the part of the thing that I like, rather than trying to force myself just to do the thing for the thing's sake. Number two, don't wait until it's convenient. It's never going to be convenient. I don't like recording YouTube videos during the day because the dishwasher's running. My setup is in like the main room of my apartment. I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 people, right? The dishwasher's running, the laundry room is the laundry's running. There's always noise. And so I always put off recording. And because I put off recording, I put off making the thing that I'm going to record about. If you want to do more making, you have to do what you can when you can. It's not always convenient for me to record, but I can make things in CAD pretty much all the time on my computer. I can be drawing or I could be drafting up a design. That doesn't require silence. So you need to focus in on what could I be doing right now. And if you find that even after identifying what you could be doing, you're still not doing it, I'd say go back to number 1. You haven't figured out what you like about making yet. Number 3 is to take small bites and be modular. It can often feel really, really daunting to start a big project and think to yourself, oh my gosh, there's so many different parts that I have to do. Don't worry about that. Just focus in on one part of the project and do the best that you can with that part. This is a project I'm working on right now. It's a little mini typewriter, and so it pulls rolls of this ticker tape and it writes messages on it. The thought of starting this entire project was kind of daunting. I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how do I make a mechanism that punches holes in paper? How do I make a mechanism that holds the paper and pulls it off? Don't worry about it. Pick one thing. In my instance, I picked the thing that grabs the paper and pulls it. Pick one of those things and just focus on that. And this is modular in the sense that there's different pieces that fit onto each other, because something's going to break and I'm going to have to redesign it. So by designing things with modularity in mind, it also helps you to segment your brain, not get overwhelmed, not get burnt out, focus on one thing, and then bring those pieces together as you have the energy. Also, I've found that doing anything helps you to get inspiration for things that are totally irrelevant. When I was working on that ticker tape mechanism, I was playing with the solenoid, and I found that if I activated it really, really quickly, it would make like a tonal pitch. And so by making it activate more times per second, you could adjust the frequency. And then I thought, wow, I could attach one of these solenoids to like a resonant box, and I could make an instrument that I play with, an Arduino or something. Completely irrelevant idea, but something that I probably will end up doing because I was so excited about the idea and it seemed so cool. And I would not have, there's not even a chance I would have had that idea unless I was sitting there physically holding the solenoids and playing with the frequency. Number 4 is to do less of what you don't like. Doing this well will actually help your projects to be more you. And what I mean by that is, if you've watched my channel before, you know that things that I hate are coding and editing. And you would think that if you are a maker YouTuber, that's pretty much a deal breaker. You have to edit videos and you have to code if you want to be making things and making videos about the things that you make. But because I hate both of those things, it helps me to lean more into what I do like doing. Because I don't like coding, I find myself leaning more towards mechanical things. Anything that I can just add an extra button, add an extra physical thing to make up for something that other people would normally do in code, it makes it more Christopher. And people do enjoy that more personalized experience. Things come naturally in different ways to different people. And so embracing what comes naturally to you helps make projects more you, which is really at the end of the day what you're trying to do anyway, right? Making is like an outward expression of almost like art, but in something that's a little bit more utilitarian. And so by putting more of your personality into the thing that you're making, it inherently, in my opinion, makes it better because it is more of yourself being put into your project. Number 5 is write down every single idea you have the moment you have it. If you tell yourself, I'll write it down in a second, I guarantee you're going to forget at least some things and you're going to feel really frustrated because you're going to say, what was that really good idea that I had? I can't remember it. I keep a really long Google Drive doc in my Google Drive called CFAC ideas, and it's this massive list of every idea that I've ever had. A lot of them are really bad, but when I'm looking for inspiration, what I frequently do is I will go in and resort the list based on what ideas I think are the most marketable, the most interesting, and that I would have the most fun doing. Reading over your old ideas interestingly helps you get inspiration for the new ones. And if it's an idea that you really don't think is worth doing, there's some ideas that I've put on that list years ago, and after reading it for the 100th time, I think, you know what, if I haven't done it by now, I'm not going to do it. And so it kind of helps me categorize my priorities in terms of what I want to be focusing my time and energy on. Number 6 is find a friend that you can enthuse about each other's victories. They don't have to be a maker, but if they are, it helps a lot because you can bounce ideas off of each other. But having somebody else that keeps you, in a way, accountable, not inherently because they're calling you up and saying, hey, did you finish the typewriter? But because they're saying to you, hey, what's the latest? Did you end up fixing that problem that you told me about? Having somebody else for accountability and somebody that you can say, hey, check this out. Check out this solution that I came up with for this really difficult problem. You will give each other inspiration. You will make each other's projects and each other's ideas better, even if not by direct collaboration, but just by proximity to each other. That also goes back to the idea of everybody does things naturally in a different way. I can't tell you how many times I've shown somebody a project and said, yeah, it's great, except for this one part that I just can't figure out. And they take one look at it and say, well, why didn't you do this? This seems so obvious to me. And it's like, oh yeah, that's amazing. That's such a good idea. Why didn't I do that? Things come naturally to different people. So when you show somebody else your project and when you show somebody else your problems that you're running into, getting their feedback and their input does wonders, because the things that they will suggest are inherently not the things that you would have already thought of typically. Number 7 is don't be afraid to lean into what works well. I typically gauge this by posting a video and seeing how the response was. I have plenty of flops and I have some victories that when I go and look back on, it's very rarely obvious to me at the time when a video is going to do well. In fact, very frequently it's the opposite, where I post something and I'm like, oh, this is going to do numbers, and then it doesn't. But I will say that every single video that I've ever had that gets over 1 million views, I go back and I look at it, and it's clear why it did so well. It's like the editing is fast-paced, it's interesting, it keeps your attention. Like, it's obvious why it did well. But there's this weird catch-22 where, for whatever reason, that's very difficult to grasp when you're making it. Maybe it's not selection bias, whatever bias it is. Victory, survivorship bias. But the same is true for just your enjoyment of a project. If you find that you love doing something, I love doing stock tickers. I can't tell you how many different stock tickers I've made, different designs. In fact, the typewriter idea, it was originally going to be a stock ticker. It still might be. And I find that a lot of people, myself to some extent included, we tend to push away those ideas and say, well, I've already done that. It's been done. Other people have done it. I've done it. It's tired. It's played out. I don't agree with that. It can be very hard to get yourself to stop thinking that way, but I say that if you feel a natural inclination to something, why not embrace it? Especially if you're trying to make videos about the things that you make. My first videos were all about windmills, which at the time I thought was so incredibly niche that I wasn't really making videos for anybody. I was mostly just trying to put all of my videos, my projects in one place, and I was amazed at how many people found it. Like, it was ridiculous to me that there were thousands of people watching my videos unedited about windmills. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't leaned into what I like. In fact, Christopher's Factory, I think when I started the channel, I was on like windmill number 18 or number 20 or something crazy. And that means that I had already made 18 or 20 different windmills prior to even starting the channel. And then I made several after starting the channel. You lean into what you like. You lean into what you're good at. That's why you started making things in the first place, is because I wanted to make windmills or stock tickers or whatever you like to make. So don't be afraid to do things again in a different way, even if you've already done it before. Making things is a hobby. And I found that many people get stressed out about it because they feel like, because it's inherently sort of a productive thing, they feel like they need to be making constantly. It's great to have a hobby and to love it, but if you find that you're driving yourself crazy with like anxiety and stress because you need to be doing more of your hobby, at what point does it stop being a hobby? And so that's why I drill point number 1 so hard, is because what is it about making that you actually enjoy? Find that thing and embrace it to the fullest extent. Find what you love and absolutely obsess over it. Let it consume you. Let it, well, not destroy you. I think that's a quote from a book. Find what you love and let it kill you is an idea that people should pursue their passions with everything they have, even if it means sacrificing other things. Yes, thank you, Chuck Bukowski. That sounds like a fake name. So anyway, those are my thoughts on making for the day. Hopefully you enjoyed this non-traditional video from me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.